We are coming to you live from our studios in Trinidad. It is Eastern Time, 5 after 6 in the morning. We are live on Facebook, via Facebook streaming, via YouTube streaming, and also live via Skype connection. Truth is beyond words. Truth is magnanimous. It cannot be obtained from the words, through the words as well. Words cannot contain it. Truth is existential. Words are finite. When an awakened one lends his energy to the words, to some extent they evolve out of their finiteness to reach the infinite horizon, and then a hint is given and can be given through the words in the hands of an awakened one. Words become alive, and then a few hints here and there can be given, and these hints are not because of the words, but because of the energy field, or as Sufis call, tawajjuh, that flows through the words, that you get hints here and there. No words can convey by themselves truth. When Jalaluddin Rumi used words, words became alive and developed tremendous capability to translate the silent gestures and energy field of Rumi. That's why the words, the compositions of Masnavi Maulana Rum appeals to human heart. If a thorn gets embedded in your feet, you can use a thorn to remove it. However, once the thorn is out, both become redundant. The words will not deliver truth. However, they can act as thorn to remove the thorn of illusions of knowledge. If you get a thorn pricked in your feet, you use another thorn to remove it. Words will not deliver truth. However, they can act like the thorn to remove the thorn of illusion of knowledge that you hold as your own. When this happens, words will have served their purpose and then become useless. To reach a particular destination, you use a vehicle, and when you reach the destination, you do not remain sitting in the car or in the vehicle. You have to hop out of the vehicle. The vehicle that was very important for you to take you to that destination is now irrelevant, because you cannot remain sitting in the car and be at the place where you have to reach. Such is the situation of the words. Words are the vehicle to take you from one state of consciousness to another. When you reach at the other state of consciousness, or the level of the consciousness, or the next step of the ladder, you have to stay there until you get a clear vision from that step. And then you move. For instance, if you have to go to another city, you will have to change the vehicles, right? Number of vehicles you have to change. Maybe from your home, you will take a cab or your own vehicle to reach the subway station. From there you take the train to the airport. When you reach the airport, you have to hop out of the train, find another vehicle that takes you to the terminal from where you have to catch your flight. Then again you have to leave that. You have to take another, maybe the electric car, to reach to your gate from where you enter the plane. Then you have to leave that again and enter the plane. When you reach the airport where you have to go, again you have to now hop out of the plane. That vehicle have to be left. That which has helped you during that transition now is no more needed. You have to come out of that, the same process, and then you reach to the destination where you have to reach. In the same way, Master uses the words along with his energy field to take you to different layers of consciousness, so that one day the flower blossoms in you, and its beauty and fragrance first enchants you, and then through you it enchants all those that come in your communion. Words, irrespective of the source, do not convey truth. Just as the vehicle takes you to that place where you need to go, but neither the vehicle is this place or that state, but it is an important medium to reach to that. If the words, one vehicle deletes the utility of the other, you have taken your vehicle and to reach to the subway or the underground train station, then the train, which is like a next word, it deletes the utility of the first. This does not mean that word has become irrelevant. No, that word has not become irrelevant, but its utility for you is no more. You do not need that vehicle. If you continue to lament for that vehicle, you cannot continue on your journey. But if words delete words, if words are erased, and if mind is emptied so that words have no hold on it, then of itself the mind attains to truth. You are not holding on to any vehicle on your way to reach the destination. One vehicle replaces the other and each vehicle takes you up to a certain distance. You have to take your journey hopping from one vehicle to another, from one technique to another. In the process of inner healing, be it at the physical plane or the emotional plane or any other, the journey goes on hopping. One technique, one medicine is given to you. It takes you it creates a certain amount of healing in you. You have reached to another. Now your medicine has to change. In the same way, in the process of inward journey, one technique takes you it gives you a certain level of health, and then you have to change it. An expert, a physician, knows when a surgery is to be performed, first, if you have to be given the anesthesia through the spine, directly it cannot be given. First of all, the anesthetist gives a local anesthesia to the part of the spine from where the spine anesthesia has to be administered to you. This is the first stage. Its utility will remain there. Its effectiveness will remain there. Now the next step is the anesthetist prepares the spine anesthesia and gives you that. After that, the effects of that local anesthesia that was given in that area is no more needed. Now, as the anesthesia is given through the spinal cord, its effect is a little longer lasting in relation to the time of the surgery in consultation with the surgeon. And you go through that. Each stage is very important. This is the example to explain to you so that you do not stick to the words. You do not stick to any particular technique. You do not hold on to it. If the words are erased and in the process mind is emptied so that words have no hold on it, then of itself mind attains to truth. Truth is nowhere outside. It is in each one of us. And better it would be to say, each one of you is embodiment of truth. Each one of you is embodiment of truth. Once the mind gives up its habit of looking outward, truth is not difficult to attain. As long as you go on looking to the masters, a master is also outside. As long as you hold on to scriptures, to the words, you are looking outward. You are the scripture of the existence. If you learn to read yourself, you will realize that you do not need anything else. Raman emphasized, go within. That is the way to read the scripture that you are. As long as you cling to the words of others, that which is attained in the worldlessness and inner serenity remains unknown and unknowable. Truth is captured in the moments when words vanish, when there is utter emptiness. Certainly, words can create understanding when mind is understood. Just as the vehicles were relevant along the journey, but they are not, but the distance that you have to cover is in a state when you are not attached to any particular vehicle. When you reach to United Arab Emirates and you are staying in a hotel, the vehicle that takes you from your place of stay to the airport comes to you like a déjà vu. Oh wow, I have never seen such a vehicle. Maybe it is driverless. The advanced technology is there. Certainly words can create understanding when mind is understood and witnessed. Words disappear and there remains a silent substance. In that you can hear unconsciously or listen meditatively. The very act of listening can be a meditation. A poet once went to the seashore. It was early morning. The sun's cool radiance filled the sky. Sun's cool radiance, yes indeed. Sun's cool radiance filled the sky. The breeze came with a touch of the waves. The joy of the scene filled the poet's heart too. Delighted, he began to dance. Oh, the bliss, the joy. But his thoughts went back to his beloved, lying in a hospital bed. How he wished that she was here by his side to share this beautiful morning. He was a poet, so this scene affected him even more. Tears welled up in his eyes. Tears welled up in his eyes, but soon he wiped them away. What if I fill a box with this beautiful morning and send it to her as my gift? He bought a box and lovingly opened its lid. To waft breeze and the dancing rays, he then sealed it with care and sent it to his beloved, explaining to her how much he had missed her in those lovely surroundings. But that was sending them to her in a box. The letter reached, so did the box. But when she opened it, there were no rays of sun, no cool breeze, no glory of that morning that her lover had described. It was only an empty box. What is at the seashore? What the winds were carrying as they caress the shore and the waves cannot be carried in a box. And also there is no way to fill the experience of the ocean of truth in the womb of words. There is no way to do that. Only words blank and empty remain. That which was experienced at the seashore of truth is left far behind. That which was experienced at the seashore of truth was left far behind. Those who reach the shores of truth, they too long to convey the joy of their experience to those they love, so that those who could not come that far away also get a glimpse of that wonderful experience. They fill their hearts with words and send them to us. The Bhagavad Gita, the Bible, the Quran reaches, but that which they tried to send remains far behind. Their compassion is unquestionable, but their words fail to convey truth. Truth is the realization of innerness, harmonious and tranquil. Truth is realization of innerness, harmonious and tranquil. When words are dropped, the substance remains contained into the words start overflowing. Then understanding becomes consciousness, and awareness is the only thing that remains when experiences are left far behind and the experiencer and the experience too disappear. The Trinity disappears. Words have never been adequate. If the beloved had held the box to her bosom and danced, we could have called her insane. But if she had caught the meaning behind the box, she could have run to the seashore. Then she would have been part of the joy of the dancing waves and the cool breeze that flowed at that moment. But this is possible only if, after getting the message, she wills to cast the box aside and set out towards the place from where something was attempted to be conveyed. I repeat it again. Then she would have been part of the joy if she had left the box, thinking that an invitation has come to reach the seashore. Then she would have been the part of the joy of dancing waves and the cool breeze. But this is possible only if, after getting the message, she is willing to cast the box aside and set out towards the place from where something was attempted to be conveyed. Those who likewise forget the scriptures and leave them aside to proceed towards the very source of the scriptures, to the very source of scripture, will find themselves one day at the shore of the ocean of truth, from where the message of Bhagavad Gita evolved, from where the message Jesus captured, the message, that source from where Holy Prophet captured the message. We are such a fool that we made a fanfare of Bhagavad Gita and are completely oblivious of the source from where Krishna sent the message of Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. So also have done with the Bible and the Quran. If Krishna and Christ, Mahabir and Buddha happen to look at us, they will shed tears of anguish. They say, we tried to send you the whip of the sea breeze, but they have clung to the words of our message and remained where they were, if they had their way, they would have snatched all the books and threw them into the ocean. But even if Krishna were to snatch the Bhagavad Gita away from you, you would catch him by the neck, because what we are indeed besides the Bhagavad Gita. If Krishna comes to you, of course he will not come in the garb that you have known him. And while you are engrossed in your Bhagavad Gita, and if he snatches away, you will give him a terse eye. I will narrate to you the story of Jalaluddin Rumi. He danced 35 hours to his heart's content, whirling. Continued to whirl 35 hours. People will come, stay there, watch the whirling show for some time, go back home, relax, have their lunch and dinner and come back again. Dance 35 hours. He became aware of that which remains stationary, because the wheel moves. We see the wheel moving, but there is something, the axle, which remains immovable, and all movement happens. All movement of the wheel happens. All movement of the wheel happens on that axle. Rumi became aware of that which remains stationary, which does not move at all. He attained. But still, what he attained did not get kindled up. He comes in the company of his beloved master, Shams Tabriz. He wrote Masnavi Maulana Room, a compendium of short aphorisms. He carries it to Shams Tabriz. Jalal was known in his circle as a learned man, a Maulvi, a Maulana. Shams was wild in his ways and means, but he was fire of love. Jalal could not resist being attracted to that fire. When he goes to Shams, Shams told him to throw that Masnavi into the well, not even looking at it. What Shams was indicating to Jalal, through the Masnavi, a compendium of aphorisms, and he asked him to throw in the well. Without a second thought, Jalal threw it in the well. This continued 40 times. 40 times, each time he carried the compendium, the Masnavi, Shams told him to throw it in the well. He threw it in the well. And then he wrote, which is an important, that contains the essence of Rumi's flight. Maulvi hargiz na shud maulai room. Maulvi hargiz na shud maulai room, ta gulame Shams Tabrizi na shud. Maulvi hargiz na shud maulai room, ta gulame Shams Tabrizi na shud. He has written Masnavi, but he could not become Maulana the learned. By writing, by reading the scriptures, one does not attain to that awakening. It comes to you when the surrender is complete. When the surrender gets complete, when words are no more relevant to you, neither the words nor thoughts, nothing remains relevant to you. That is the state of surrender. Ta gulame Shams Tabrizi na shud. until I accepted. I surrendered to Shams, to his energy field. Surrender means you are beginning to flow into that energy field, that current, that Shams is. The energy field that Shams is. There is a beautiful book, a play, written by a Russian writer, Dostoevsky. If you have to look into the Russian writers, and if you have to make a list of 10 important writers throughout the world, 5 of them will be Russians. Dostoevsky, Maxim Gorky, Leo Tolstoy, unique names. Russian playwright Dostoevsky wrote a book, Brothers Karamazov. In that he says that after 1800 years since his death, Jesus thought the time was ripe for him to revisit the earth. There were churches erected in every village to preach his message. There were priests and monks with cross hanging in their necks. Almost half of the world has turned Christian. He was sure of a festive and joyous welcome which did not happen when you visited the planet for the first time. He was crucified. So one Sunday morning, Jesus descended into a village and stood under a tree outside the church. People were returning from the village church. The morning mass was over. They were surprised to see a Christ-like figure standing under the tree. Who is this man dressed like Jesus? They all wondered. Who is this man dressed like Jesus? He must be an actor, they thought. They gathered around him full of curiosity and began to question him. Your acting is perfect. You look exactly like Christ. I am the Christ, replied Jesus. I am the Christ, replied Jesus. They laughed aloud and threw a stone, another slipper, and they all danced around him, calling him insane. One out of pity told him to go from there before the priest caught him. Your priest is my priest. Don't you recognize me? I am the one to whom you pray every morning, pleaded Jesus. We are worshipping you as you deserve. If you do not make yourself scarce quickly, they told him. Jesus in his compassion forgave them. Perhaps they really did not recognize him, but the priest was bound to, for he sang his praises all day. Then along came the priest. The noisy crowd became silent as the priest approached from within the church. Then one by one they touched his feet. Such is the world. It will stone the God, but it will prostrate before those who make business out of him. I have heard there were 3 people and one questionnaire. The questionnaire, one was a Hindu, the next was a Christian, the third was a Muslim, and the last one was a Jew. So the questioner asked one by one. He asked the Hindu, who is the greatest? Of course, Ram and Krishna replied proudly, shaking his head. The Hindu, who is the greatest? he asked the question next to a Christian. Of course, Jesus is bound to be greatest. He is the only begotten Son. Oh, is it so? Yes, indeed it is so. Then the same question was posed to the Muslim. Of course, Holy Prophet, peace be unto him. He is the greatest. He is the last apostle God sent, the messenger, the last. After that, he did not need to send anyone. He is the greatest. Then came the chance of the Jew. And my dear sir, who is greatest according to you? A tacit Jew answered, of course, Jesus is the greatest. Surprised, the questioner said, I thought you will not say Jesus is the greatest. He said, yes, Jesus is the greatest. In the heart of hearts, I know it is Moses. In the heart of hearts, I know it is Moses. But of course, business is business. Jesus is the business mascot for Jews. Most of the businesses, the most successful persons who control a large part of humanity are Jews. Jesus the Christ, Sigmund Freud, Albert Einstein. And when you look at this most successful business in the world, they are all owned by Jews. If you look at the list of the Nobel Prize winners, a vast majority of this are Jews. So back to the play of Dostoevsky. The noisy crowd became silent as soon as the priest emerged from the church. Then one by one they touched the feet. Such is the world. It will stone God, but it will prostrate before those who make business out of him. It's blasphemy, exclaimed Jesus. Keep quiet, said the people. If the priest hears you, he will feel insulted. This drew the priest's attention. Who is this rascal? He asked. Bring him to me. You do not recognize me? Jesus exclaimed. And you wear my cross around your neck? But Jesus overlooked the fact that the cross he was made of wood, while the cross that hung around the neck of the priest was made out of gold. Was ever a cross to hang a man was made out of gold? And it is the man who hung the cross and not the cross onto the man. This man looks like Satan himself, proclaimed the priest. Our Jesus came to the earth but once, and there is no need for him to come again. Now we are here to look after his work. So Jesus was looked up in the attic of the church. He was shocked. This was the same kind of treatment he has received 1800 years ago. Will I be crucified again? He wondered. The priest came to visit him in the middle of the night. He fell at his feet and begged forgiveness. I recognize you, O gracious one, O glorious one. but we are constrained to deny you in the marketplace. We are constrained to deny you in the marketplace. You need not take the trouble of coming again. We are carrying out your work in all our sincerity. Business is good. And if you look, there is bound to be confusion. We have barely got things going smoothly, and you came again to create the same chaos which you created 1800 years ago. Please understand, we cannot acknowledge you in public. Not only that, we might have to resort to the same tactics to disown you as we did 1800 years ago. Please forgive us, we are helpless. The same will be the fate of Krishna or Mahabir or Muhammad if they choose to come again. And that is why existence has created a resolution that no man can be born again. Once dissolved is dissolved in the existence. Jesus cannot come back. Krishna cannot come back. But when he comes back in an unknown and unknowable form, you will not be able to recognize him at all. You will not be able to recognize. In order to recognize a Jesus, a Krishna, it is the consciousness, and that requires a different kind of vision. We do not realize that those words we cling to have clearly warned us not to, for truth is not in the words. Truth is present only in the state of wordless silence, where thoughts have disappeared. Truth will not be in words or in the words of anyone else. Then why do masters speak? Masters speak to snatch away your words away from you. He uses words like a thorn to take away the thorn that has pricked in your feet as you are walking bare feet to reach somewhere. That is why Master uses the words as thorns to take out the thorn that has stuck in your feet. The words of the Masters are like thorns that he uses to pick the word from within you that is stuck like a thorn in your mind. Thus the Master will have attained his end. Then you will be freed from the words both within and without. Then the mind devoid of words is ready to set out towards truth. It is a matter of great regret that instead of grasping the essence of the message of those who came to liberate us, we merely catch hold of their person. Buddha had forbidden his disciples from making his statues, but today his statues outnumber those of anyone else. In fact, the Urdu word for a statue is derived from the word Buddha. It has come to mean any statue. There are Buddha idols. The Urdu word for a statue is Buddha, stationary. There are Buddha idols to the tune, often thousands in a single temple in China. And Buddha had warned, do not worship me. Man is a strange creature. We catch the one who say, do not hold on to me. Catch him all the more firmly, lest he slips away. The more we like a person, the more we tend to cling to him for fear of losing him. The tendency had made us slaves. If we lose our hold on the old ones, we will find new ones to hold on to. If Mahavir and Krishna and Buddha and Ram are getting out of hand, we create Gandhi and begin to cling to him. We must have someone or the other to cling to. We do not want to stand on our own feet. We do not want to stand on our own feet. I wish to declare that only that person is qualified to call himself a man who, discarding others, stands on his own feet. Only he can hold on to himself who casts aside all outside help. Remember, he who clings to others has no faith in himself. Because he finds himself weak, he tries to drive his strength from others. Lack of faith in oneself becomes faith in others. He who has faith in himself places his faith nowhere else but in his own. The irony of it all is, he who cannot hold on to himself, how can he hold on to another? How can he sustain another when he has no power over him? Faith in oneself indeed is religion. Faith in oneself indeed is religion, not faith in others. God has given to each one of you all that he has given to everybody. What he has given to Mahavir, to Buddha, he has given to you as well. Jesus, Krishna, Buddha, Mahavir have blossomed, but you have not yet planted the seed. And unless you plant the seed that you are, the growth will not happen. Faith in oneself is indeed the religion, not faith in others. God has given each person all that he has given to everybody. Each one of you has that in him who has manifested itself in others as Ram, Krishna, Buddha, Mahavir and Jesus. What becomes manifest is present in the seed within each one of you. But what I say, leave them. I have no enmity towards their person. How can there be such wonderful people? What can I have against their person? What reason do I have to find faults in them? All I mean is, as long as you hold on to their person, you will never be able to find yourself, discover yourself, trust yourself. And those who fail to find himself is disqualified to enter the temple of God. Umar Khayyam wrote a beautiful composition. All his compositions were quadrants, composition of 4 lines. One of that was translated in simple Urdu language and was used. क्या हो हासिल उनके जिक्र से जो पीकर मस्त हुए हैं, क्या हो हासिल उनके जिक्र से जो पीकर मस्त हुए हैं. And Pankaj Udas sang this composition. What shall you gain by talking about those who are drunk and gone? क्या हो हासिल उनके जिक्र से जो पीकर मस्त हुए हैं. The tavern is open. Take a drink, and then you will see what has happened to an ecstatic Umar Khayyam, what had happened to an ecstatic Jesus or Muhammad or Krishna. They are all drunk. By talking about that, you never get the taste of the mystical wine. बहुत कड़वी है मैं इस साकी की, रंग लाएगी गर सांसों में उतर आने दो. I am a brewer, a saki, constantly brewing that mystical wine. The tavern is open. Tavern is open. Come and have a sip of this mystical wine that overflows each moment through this presence. क्या हो हासिल उनके जिक्र से जो पीकर मस्त हुए हैं, जो पीकर मस्त हुए हैं. रंग लाएगी गर सांसों में उतर आने दो. बहुत कड़वी है मैं इस साकी की, रंग लाएगी गर सांसों में उतर आने दो. बहुत कड़वी है मैं इस साकी की, बहुत कड़वी है मैं इस साकी की, रंग लाएगी गर सांसों में उतर आने दो. रंग लाएगी गर सांसों में उतर आने दो. बहुत कड़वी है मैं इस साकी की, बहुत कड़वी है मैं इस साकी की, रंग लाएगी गर सांसों में, गर सांसों में, गर सांसों में उतर आने दो, गर सांसों में उतर आने दो. Only this much for this morning. Until we meet again tomorrow, take care and be drunk with this mystical wine. Until then, take care.